I've been having a rough time in World of Warships Legends over the past couple of days, getting matches that are nothing but one sided blowouts, unsuitable for YouTube content. Bit of a problem if that's what you're trying to do while playing the game. And yesterday, while I was playing for a couple of hours, everything I was getting was completely unusable, but I was also playing ships that I enjoyed and think are good. So I decided let's think outside of the box and play a ship I'm pretty sure I'm not going to enjoy, and one that I would question is good just on the face of it. That's the Tier 8 IJN hybrid battleship Dewa, whose design I don't like at all because all the guns are in the front, there's a flight deck on the back. It encourages a stationary north south playstyle that I don't find dynamic or all that effective. Bow tanking is not my favorite thing to do, and you'll know that if you're familiar with this channel. But that's what this ship is, I guess, designed to do, and we're going to be doing a lot of that in this battle. This is the first game I've ever played in this ship, and this is the first salvo I've ever taken. And the results, well, it's against a broadside Georgia, so pretty good. That's all 6 of the shells, a rare enough thing indeed. I don't know that another salvo will have a 100% accuracy rating in this entire match, but we do 31,809 damage. So this truly is an Izimo, which is a bit of a questionable ship, but I do like the guns on the Izimo. They're sometimes, as you saw there against the Georgia, accurate like that, and they hit like freight trains when they have that kind of good RNG going for them. But they also have IJN dispersion, so there's going to be some bum salvos in this match from time to time. I wanted to show you this match, though, because, well, this first sequence of the match, I think it's pretty important here as we launch these airstrikes. I'll also note that the airstrikes feature 3 planes, which drop 3 torpedoes each for a total of 9. Not quite as ridiculous as the Aki's infinite torpedoes. Infinite is a bit of an exaggeration, but the Aki has more. I think with these torpedoes, though, much like the Aki, it's probably physically impossible to miss all of them on any given drop, unless you're particularly bad at aiming. And the guns, well, I found, at least through this battle, and I can't really make any sweeping conclusions about this ship yet because I've only played it once. There, though, you see the RNG or the accuracy not quite giving us exactly what we want, and it seems to be every other salvo that we get something good. Anyway, you'll notice we've turned around and we're kiting, even though our main armament is on the front of the ship, and this is probably something that bow tanking lovers out there would consider sacrilegious, but we're doing it for a very good reason. We're built into concealment somewhat with our commander build. We've got concealment module and a fully maxed condo as one inspiration, so we've got 12.8. Before we fired our main battery guns there, no visible enemy ship was inside of our detectability radius, which means that at least one of the 3 enemy destroyers is on this flank. Therefore, if we are to push in, bow in, it would be a mistake. We're going to leave ourselves mostly stationary, therefore vulnerable to the torpedoes from one or more of whatever destroyers are around here. And then on top of that, we've got 3 different battleships and a cruiser out there that can all farm us if we're sitting still, bow tanking in front of them. So we wouldn't be floating for too long. And what do you know? There are 2 out of 3 of the enemy destroyers on this flank. And if we take a look at the overall minimap to see how the battle is developing as we get a citadel on the Njord there for the second time in this game, we'll note that we've got 2 battleships and a destroyer on the opposite flank. They're heading toward the enemy base, and there is, well, as far as we can tell, 0 opposition between them and the enemy base. So if they get inside of it, which they will shortly, the enemy team on this side of the map is going to have to react to that and turn around to defend the base. Therefore, there's no reason for us to aggressively push into them right at the start of the battle and sink ourselves for no reason and no gain. So what we do is we take ourselves out of the situation by kiting a little bit, even though this ship is not necessarily well suited to that, and then we turn around to reset the situation and try to get some more success. Success comes in the form of another citadel against the Njord. That's 3 so far, with 1 torpedo hit, and we're at 77,000 damage. We've got about half of our HP left, and we're using the Borg Queen as the commander. Without her in this battle, I don't know that we would have had that much success because we have 5 heals instead of the base 3, and we're going to need to use, I think, practically every one of them. Tempting to shoot at some of the larger capital ships out here as well, but while Z-44 is spotted, we do need to take the shot at him, and doing so pays off. Couple salvos or couple shells land on him, do about 3,900 damage. Pretty devastating for a destroyer. And we do, unfortunately, take 1 torpedo there, but that's fine. We can DCP that, and we've reached our ultimate goal, which is the safety of this island. I don't really like putting battleships in this kind of position because you're very stationary, you can only move north-south, and if you get focused, there's really no way to escape. But if you can find an island like this and post up beside it, probably the best thing you can do, particularly when you're on 14,000 HP. We're in a perilous state right now. We've got so many ships out here that can sink us that, we've got to be careful. But meanwhile, the friendly DD and the 2 friendly battleships are approaching the enemy cap, which is occupied by 1 of the 3 enemy destroyers and a cruiser. Meanwhile, Georgia has beached himself, is reversing, turning broadside to us. We're the only battleship in position to take advantage of that, and we do. We finish off the Georgia with another Citadel to go with the initial Citadel that we got against him. Full health Republic, we're going to launch these torpedoes from the sky, and we're going to do a fairly poor job of it without giving enough lead. I believe that's an 11.6 second time from the time the torpedoes hit the water till the time they hit the target. So they, I think, require a little bit more lead than I give them at any point in this video. But again, this is the first and only game I've played in this ship so far. There's the Z-44 trying to creep up on us. But we've got 2 destroyers of our own that are positioned reasonably to be safe from return fire courtesy of the enemy team, and they can make short work of the Z-44. So we're safe from a YOLO torpedo threat at the moment, but we've lost about half of the remaining HP we had when we reached the island, and we're at 7,700. 4,400 now that the Plymouth is shredding us with his AP. We're going to need to reverse before he reduces our count to 0. He's got us at 284 before we reach the safety of the island and get the high caliber medal against the rather excellent Catalunya, who's a huge existential threat to us right now. 1 shell from him could sink us, but he's got that gimmick where he's got the burst fire and a really long reload, which he seems to be on cooldown right now. Heal is available just as he shoots. We hit the button, and before the shells make contact, which I don't think they actually damage us, it looks like they shatter, but we save ourselves. We're not dead yet. We're going to be able to reload. One good thing I've noticed about these guns is that they do have a 24-second reload with a reload mod. Pretty quick, and you would expect them to have a quick reload since there are only 6 guns. Catalunya, he's going to be torpedoing us, but he's going to go down in the process. Now we have to worry about the torpedoes coming right at our bow, but the game is played out the way I thought. The blue team has reached the red cap. They've managed to dispatch the destroyer that was standing in their way. We took out the cruiser, and now the rest of the red team is forced to turn around and contend with the blue team's actions. 5,000 HP left, not enough lead there on that torpedo strike against the Republique, but for the first time out of hitting 6 torpedoes in this match, we actually get a flood. And I don't think Republique has his DCP off cooldown. We ultimately get taken out by the Catalunya torpedoes, which I fully expected to be coming. Not much you can really do about it in that situation, though. However, our flood takes out the Republique, netting us 3 kills. I almost said third. 3 kills for the game with the It's Just a Flesh Wound and high caliber medal. And with the Republique taken out, he was the most imminent threat to turn around and defend his cap. There's no chance the Z-23 is going to be spotted now. The last remaining enemy destroyer, I think, was somewhere deep into the flank out there. Not exactly sure where, but he's in no position to come around and get back to the cap and defend it. So, we're going to win here. And I think our actions as far as kiting and turning around to find a more optimal position to actually bow tank are part of the reason our team had as much success as we did in this match. Although we have to give our teammates GG's for taking care of the other flank, getting into the cap, and making this play out like a classic standard mode battle where the strong sides fight each other while the weak side gets dominated and the team gets into the cap and, forces the enemy to react. 2300 XP, 152,000 damage, certainly not results that are blowing anything out of the water, but well, this ship was more fun to play than I thought it would be. Still really don't like the design or anything that it incentivizes, and I think planes overall are terrible for the game. But if you enjoy the ship, it's probably worth grinding, because whenever Aki comes out as a Bureau project, I bet you're going to need to get a win in this thing. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.